So, I wanted to come on here to give you guys a bit of a WrestleMania 39 Night 1 review and, give you my overall thoughts on it. And honestly, I will agree that this is probably one of the better first halves, as I look at it, of a WrestleMania in a while, because we know that they used to have WrestleMania go for about 7 hours, 6 hours, and that's the initial show sometimes, to not only get, everybody in there, but to, I guess, in their opinion, give all the important matches, time to shine and stuff like that, when all they have to do is just do what they did tonight and what they plan to do tomorrow night. And I thought, honestly, they did a great job here. I thought overall it was, it was booked, in my opinion, as I just the camera here a little bit. I thought it was booked, justifiably, in the correct way. I mean, the first match, of course, was John Cena and Austin Theory for the United States title. And it went the way it's supposed to. Theory won. Some would say it wasn't a clean finish, but look, Austin Theory is a heel. And I think he's going to be booked, hopefully, as the heel, as basically one of those heels that not only the other heels want to have anything to do with, because he's so, over the top, arrogant and stuff like that. So yeah, he beat John Cena, and what people would say was a typical John Cena match, but, the difference was we had a rough bump, and Austin Theory took advantage of that, low-blowed Cena, hit him with the A-Town, downtown finisher, and won the match. And again, it did what it had to do, even if, he had to cheat. It did what it had to do, and that solidified Austin Theory as one of the future faces and names of WWE. There is no denying that, it did the job it had to do, and John did the job he had to do to make that happen. A lot of people I'm hearing have said that, usually if the behind the scenes booking was under a different regime, and we all know which regime that was at one point, that Cena would have been in middle of the card, second to last, if you will, and maybe it would have been more of, Cena going over, even if it was for 24 hours as champion. But that didn't happen here, and some people say that he felt less important to the overall structure of the night, and in a sense he did. So, so overall, the first match, opening match, I thought did a good job, at doing what it had to do, and John did what he had to do. And, everybody probably still wondering why Cena and Theory basically opened, and it's because Theory's not Theory, but Cena's got a schedule. He's got a movie schedule, and I think his agents and those he's working with right now in the movie would only allow him, a certain time frame. As I check something for a second, would only allow him a certain time frame to get in and do his thing and get out, and that's basically why he had to open the match, open the event. The Fatal 4-Way Tag Team match for the men I thought was good. People have said it's comparable to NXT levels. I know some people might say, well, it felt a little quick, a little rushed. In a sense it did, but I think it's mainly because of the pace these guys were going, is what it was. It was at the pace that these guys were going. Because even when Triple H was running NXT, a lot of the matches there, sometimes in tag team matches, even under Shawn Michaels' rule, where he's kind of taking elements of what Triple H did in NXT at one point, they feel rushed as well, especially the multi-man matches, because they want to get everything in there. And, these guys, for the time they got, which I'm thinking, let me see what it says here on Facebook. On Facebook, but on Wikipedia, because I think Wikipedia somebody puts the times on Wikipedia, like how long the matches go and everything. So let's see how they timed it. So yeah, the men's WrestleMania showcase only went 8 minutes and 30 seconds. That's right, it went 8 minutes 30 seconds. The shortest match, well, actually not the shortest match of the night. We'll get into that in a little bit. But basically, yeah, the second to shortest match of the night. All the other ones went over a certain time limit, which was necessary. And I know some people nowadays are like, well, why can't they be longer and everything? And it's mainly because of the fact that, you have 3 hours. You have 3 hours to, well, actually, this was more like, what, 3.5, 4 hours almost? Almost four, I think. Almost 3.5. No, it was about 3.5, almost 4 hours. So, you have so much time to squeeze in, and they only have the building basically for both nights rented out for an average of, I would say, 5 hours, 6 hours at most. It all depends. When it comes to the event, they have it rented out, for about, I would say, 4 to 5 hours, 6 hours at latest, but mostly between 4 to 5 hours. So, huh. Sorry about that. But anyway, like I was saying, basically, what was it? Oh yeah, basically they only have that, like, they're renting the building out for about a week, and they got a week to get everything, or at least, I would say, when did they start construction? About Wednesday? Tuesday, Wednesday? So they have about a little less than a week to do it, about 5 days to do it in. So they have the 5 days, they have the entire building booked, from doing the construction and all that to the event itself. And they have certain time frames for the construction to get done in, during the times it's being built. And then they also have the time frame from when the building, starts filling up. So, so from a match perspective, from an event perspective, they have about 4 or 5 hours at most to get everything in and out. But on the day of, like as soon as they open the doors and everything, they have, I would say, about a 7-8 hour window at most. Actually, I'd say more like a 7 hour window at most. So everybody gets in there, all the fans get in there, find their seats, stuff like that. So on whole, on whole, sorry about that. But like I said, on average, on the days of the events, it's about I would believe, about 7 to 8 hours in total. For about, I would say, 3.5 to, get everybody, all the fans, enter the building, find their seats, and then of course 3.5 to 4 to get all the event,
Turn the backlight on now, Brian.
All right. Sorry. Sorry about that. But anyway, what was I? Oh, yeah. What was I? Sorry, just what's that trying? Okay, sorry. But anyway, like I said, they have, like, I would assume 4 hours, 3.5 hours to get everything. Like the first, like, on average. I apologize for all these interruptions. On average, I think they got overall about almost 8 hours to get everything done. Like 3.5 hours to 4 hours to let the fans in, find their seats, get refreshments, stuff like that, and then 3.5 to 4 hours to get everything of the event itself in, match-wise and all that, before they have to close down for the day, and then redo it tomorrow. So. Sorry about all that. And you know what? I'm going to keep this in because this is getting ridiculous sometimes. But like I said, I think on average they have about 8 hours to get everything done. You know, get the fans in, do the event, and then close down. And then afterwards do it again. And then tomorrow do it again. That's what I was trying to say. So I do apologize for that. I do apologize for that. But anyway, that's why I think, John agreed to do the match and everything because, hey, it gets him in, gets him out, and it gives, everybody else, time to get their stuff in and all that. And he could be maybe on a plane, maybe, in his RV, whatever, on his way back to the set of whatever movie he's doing. That's about it. Anyway, like I said, like I was saying, getting back to the Fatal 4-Way, though, tag team match, I thought it was decent. It went for about, like I said, 8.5 minutes. Second to shortest match of the night. And, overall, again, everybody says, it was very NXT TakeOver-like. And, like I said, if you go back to Triple H running NXT when he did, and, even now with Shawn Michaels taking a little bit out of Triple H's playbook with his running of NXT, you see the same kind of familiarity of, hey, these guys get the stuff in, even if it's less than 10 minutes, and as long as it's, as long as it's not like, oh, they're just, boom, 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 and that's it. But they go in and get the stuff in there and be able to show off, in the amount of time they have. That's good enough for a lot of people, and it was. I mean, a lot of people looked at this match as, oh, it's going to be a piss break, and everything's going to be a piss break and everything, and it wasn't. It turned out to be better than I think a lot of people anticipated it to be. So, in the end, Street Profits win. I was going with the Viking Raiders, but Street Profits win. And, it looks like they're going to be next in line for a tag team title shot. The next match of the evening was Seth Rollins and Logan Paul. Logan Paul came out with a mascot for his Prime Energy drink, which is under scrutiny right now because of the fact that it's got too much caffeine, in it than any other energy drink. So, he's under a lot of scrutiny and trouble for that. And obviously this is a very popular drink because every time I check somebody out at work at Target, one of the drinks they are buying is the Prime Energy drink. So obviously it's a popular venture for Jake and Logan, or Logan and Jake, I should say. So, so there you go. The person in the Prime mask, in the Prime suit, in the Prime drink mascot suit, was KSI, who I think is a rival, friendly rival or associate with Logan Paul. And, he got in on the action by basically getting splashed by Logan Paul when Logan Paul wasn't even paying attention. Basically, he helped him beat down on Seth a little bit, put Seth on the table, Spanish announce table. And Logan Paul is getting cocky, he's spitting up water or spitting up the Prime drink. And he jumps off the turnbuckle, but while he's spitting up the Prime drink, he doesn't notice that Seth is reaching up his hand and dragging KSI into his place, and basically KSI ends up getting a frog splash by Logan Paul. Now, as usual, Logan Paul, really shined in this match. As much as people may not like the guy, he really shined, and he did do a lot of things. He did do a buckshot lariat, or they call it the Maverick lariat. He did do a GTS. Yes, a CM Punk move, or CM Punk Kenta move, if you will. He did do that. But in the end, Seth Rollins ended up winning, hitting him with the curve stomp. And that was it. It was a good match, one of the best matches of the night. And whether or not this is Logan Paul's last match in WWE, because his contract, instead of being multi-year, was only for 1 year, we'll have to see. If they re-sign him, they re-sign him. We'll see where they go from there, if you will. And then I think, let me see here. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything. Okay, so we had we had the 6-woman tag: Trish Stratus, Lita, Becky Lynch against Damage Control, which consisted of Bayley, Dakota Kai, and Io Sky. You know, I will say this: Lita does look a little sluggish. I mean, she is older. I mean, guys, she's going to be what, 48 in about 13 days, in 2 weeks, less than 2 weeks. She's going to be 48. I mean, give her, cut the lady a break. But they did what they could. I mean, for what she lacked in aerial maneuvers that she's known for, she, made up with the little bit of innovativeness, if you will. So, cool on that. Um, Overall, it was a decent match. Some would say it's the kind of match you could see on Raw, that you could build up to a special edition of Raw or something like that and make it the main event. But they did a good job here. I thought they did great. There was no Trish heel turn, although she was sporting the outfit she wore as a heel at WrestleMania 21, where she took on, what was it, Christy Hemming, I believe? She took on Christy Hemming with her women's title on the line. So, she wore that, and I'm thinking, honestly, I was watching that, and I was looking at it, and I'm thinking, oh, she might turn heel because she's wearing an outfit she wore as a heel. But that wasn't the case. All women shined, and in the end, Becky got the manhandle slam on Bayley off the second rope, and that was it. Again, decent match. Lita, again, a little sluggish. You got to remember, she's almost 50, 2 years away from 50, guys. So when you get older, and you don't, actively, keep yourself in ring shape or, athletic shape or something like that as much as, let's say, obviously Trish does, it's like, what do you, it's like, what do you expect? But Lita did decent, and we'll see what they do from here on in with her and Becky. If they are going to do a Trish heel turn, I would expect that would be on the Raw after Sunday's Mania. That's what I'm thinking. But yeah, it was a decent match, and it looks like this might be the end of the road for Damage Control, but we'll see. Again, the Raw after Mania is usually one that people hope is going to be, worthy of that, title. And if this night of WrestleMania 39 is any indication, and tomorrow night might be the same way, I think Raw after Mania under Triple H will be memorable. I really do. So, with that said, again, decent match. Then we got, oh yeah, and before I forget, I know people would want me to talk about it. I like the entrance for Lita, Trish, and Becky. Very comic booky, Sin City, if you will, inspired. So, really enjoyed that. Next up, we had Rey Mysterio, Dominik Mysterio. This was good. It's really good. The storytelling in it was great. I love the entrances for both. You have Dominik, basically channeling his prison dom thing because of the fact that we see this little like mini film of him being in prison and then being escorted out of prison and into a correction van, if you will, and then we see that correction van suddenly just pull up into the arena. And you hear these sirens, and honestly, I can tell you right now, the moment you hear these sirens, you're thinking, Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner, right? That's the first thing that will go through your head. But yeah, Dominik came out, like that, wearing the lucha mask, which looked very familiar to Rey's lucha mask from Halloween Havoc when he had that hair versus mask match with Eddie Guerrero. And yeah, it was. So yeah, it was a interesting, entrance for Dom. Then we had Rey come out, and Rey came out in a lowrider, and he came out, with we're hearing the Snoop Doggy Dogg song, Snoop Doggy Yo Yo, whatever. I think that was it, or something like that. It was one of his songs. Then all of a sudden it transitions to Viva la Raza. If you cheating, you ain't trying, or something like, basically that's how it went, if I remember that, something like that. But all of a sudden it goes from the Snoop Dogg song to Viva la Raza. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, or something, something along those lines. I think it was, if you ain't cheating, lying, you ain't trying something. Correct me if I'm wrong. So, basically, sorry about that. So basically, he comes out, and that transitions over to his song, and then he comes down the aisle, and we see in the audience Angie, his wife Angie, and the star Leah, and obviously we see Dom's fiance. They don't acknowledge her though, but that's that's his fiance, I think. And yeah, these two had a great match. You know, good storytelling. There was a moment in the match where Rey took off his belt and literally whooped Dom right in the behind and everything. And then, of course, it went to the outside. Dom got in the face of his mom, got in the face of Aaliyah through Aaliyah's drink in her face. And, you know, when you look back at the replay, it almost looks like Aaliyah was going to break character a little bit because it looked like she was smiling, like, oh, yeah, do it to me, and everything. So I think, you know, if you eagle eye about it, yeah, she almost broke character, almost broke the illusion there. But when he got in Angie's face, he got in his mom's face, she just went, bap, and everything. But overall, the match was good. You had Judgment Day, or at least two members of Judgment Day come out. That's Damien and Finn. And then you had Legado Fantasma, you know, now part of the LWO, the new revamped LWO, along with Rey, to counter them, you know, and everything. Damien looked like a beast, taking down both Joaquin and I think Joaquin Wild and what's his name, Raul. I think Raul Mendoza and Wild. He took them down. Looked like a beast, but you know Santos was able to counter that. So it's nice that they got a moment at WrestleMania, and then because of this, because of this distraction, you know. Dom tries to go to the corner, tries to take the corner turnbuckle off. The referee sees him, says, "What are you doing?" So that's enough for him to go over to the other side and reach into Damien's coat, because Damien took off his coat and everything, put it to the side, and in the coat was a chain. But then here comes Bad Bunny, who was on commentary for the Spanish announcers. He comes out, you know, he gets out of the announce table, grabs the chain out from Dom and says, "Oh no, you don't." And that's enough to open the door for Rey to hit the 619 on his son, hit the frog splash, and get the 1-2-3. So yeah, Rey wins the match. Rey's outfit, I will say this, was I can definitely tell you, very inspired by Conan. You know, by the look of the mask and you know the kind of helmet inspiration there. So you but anyway, like I said, sorry about that. But anyway, you know, he had a Conan inspired for his mask and everything. And again, overall the match was good. It was decent. It's progressing the story, obviously, because there is reports that the story's not over yet between the two. As I check something here for a second. Hold on. Okay, just checking something there, guys. But yeah, apparently it's the story's not over yet, and now we got Bad Bunny involved, and there have been reports that Rey's going to team with Bad Bunny to take on Dominik and Damien, potentially at Backlash. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, Bad Bunny now is added into the mix after what happened. So expect him and Rey to team up against Dom and Damien at Backlash, you know, in Puerto Rico next month. The next match, Charlotte and Rhea for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Okay. First of all, one criticism about this, and I know others will make this criticism, this should have been Lesnar Cena 2014. This should have been. This should have been basically a squash, you know, let, you know, Charlotte get her offense in and everything. Sorry about that. But like I said, you know, this should have been. Sorry. But anyway, like I said, you know, there's a lot of us that will come out and say that this should have been Cena Lesnar 2014. Like, you know, let Charlotte get some offenses like Cena did against Lesnar, but just have Rhea, like Lesnar, dominate Charlotte like Lesnar did to Cena. That didn't happen. You know, that didn't happen. Instead, what we ended up getting was surprisingly a longer match than that. I think they clocked it in at almost 23 minutes and 35 seconds. They clocked it in at 23 minutes, 35 seconds. And to me, I think what carried this was the storytelling. And the storytelling of being both women would not be denied. Rhea would not be denied. Charlotte would not be denied. Both women just took it to each other like I don't think anybody expected. And, Charlotte did get her nose busted. And the way it got busted is Rhea does this German suplex. Like, it's the second one she does in this way. Like, the first one she does is right off the top rope. She does the German suplex and literally flips Charlotte onto her stomach and face onto the mat. And then the second time she does it is while they're on the mat, she's able to kind of like pick her up and everything. It's like she reverses something Charlotte was doing and she just picks up Charlotte and flips her over. And Charlotte this time hits face first on the mat. And it causes like a little bit of a rug burn, if you will, where it basically scrapes her nose. And you start seeing the blood come out. And, this match was physical. This was probably the most physical women's match in a long time. Probably one of the best women's matches in a long time. Heck, JD's even saying it's probably one of the best women's matches of the year so far. But in the end, what happened is Rhea counters something off one of the corners. Drops Charlotte basically head first into the LED, pillar, if you will. And then she picks her up and hits her with Riptide, the second Riptide. The first one she hit her with, Charlotte kicked out of. The second one was off the top rope, and it's 1, 2, 3. Rhea becomes the new SmackDown Women's Champion. And you see Charlotte afterwards as she's rolling out of the ring. She's sitting down, and Rhea's celebrating. You see Charlotte got the smile on her face like, yeah, that's the Rhea I wanted. It's like, that's the Rhea I wanted 3 years ago. That's the Rhea. That's the Rhea that I wanted and everything. And she even, I think, they mentioned it on commentary that she shouted to Rhea, "You've earned it. You deserve it." So, yeah, Rhea is the new SmackDown Women's Champion. After what, again, a lot of us felt should have been a squash match, turned out to be a huge main event, a huge, I guess you could say, bar-setting match for the women, not just for WrestleMania weekend, but for the rest of the year, in my opinion. Because even if Bianca and Asuka surpass that tomorrow, or even get even with it, and give us 2 of the best women matches of the weekend, there's going to be a lot of women matches. Don't matter where you work for, or who you work for, or what you watch. A lot of these women across the board are going to have to be like, we got to live up to that, and we got to surpass that. So, honestly, that's what they did. That instead of giving us a squash, which we all agree should have happened, instead they gave us probably one of the better women matches in a long, long time. And again, it was all about the storytelling of neither woman would be denied. Rhea would not be denied. Charlotte would be not denied. But I also think there was a bit of motivation for both women that, here you have Charlotte defending against the Women's Royal Rumble winner, and then not the final match on the card. So to me, there was a lot more, I guess you could say, purpose behind the match. And that purpose was, let's show them why we should have been the main event. And to me, they went out and, did just that. They didn't just, give us one of the best women's matches in a long time, storytelling and all that, where neither would be denied. But they also went out there and wanted to prove the point that, hey, it doesn't matter if that tag team match had a lot more story behind it. We should have rightfully been the main event because of, the reasoning, the legit reasoning. But in the end, they ended up kind of helping to steal the show a little bit, and Rhea is the new champ. How long is she going to be champ? We don't know. We'll have to see. Will she break off from Judgment Day? Because, hey, she don't need him anymore because she finally got what she wanted. We'll see. We shall see. Next up was, I guess because they needed time to feel, we had Miz and Snoop Dogg, in the ring, announcing the attendance for WrestleMania Night 1. And then, basically, Snoop Dogg kind of goaded Miz into, participating in a match. And Miz basically said, oh, well, yeah, I want to be wrestling here at Mania, but I don't but I don't have an opponent because I've sent out fillers, you know, and all that through social media. Nobody's accepted. And then all of a sudden, you hear Pat McAfee's, you hear Pat McAfee's theme song, and out comes Pat McAfee, much to the jubilation of Michael Cole and displeasure of Corey Graves. But out he comes, again, another big surprise, because they did say we're going to get surprises. Obviously, this is one of them. And the match, the impromptu match between him and Miz, which I guess Snoop Dogg had the authority to make, was also a surprise. And it went for about 3 minutes, 40 seconds. And McAfee ends up winning. Thanks in part, get this, thanks in part to San Francisco 49er George Kittle. Yeah. San Francisco 49er George Kittle. And you would think when he's getting shown in the crowd and everything, he got a pop. He got a big pop and everything. But you think they're in Ram territory, he could boot. Nope. He didn't. But yeah, this impromptu match went for about 3 minutes, 40 seconds, and, Pat McAfee won. So there's that. And who knows, he might be making sporadic appearances here and there for WWE in the future. If that's the precedent that we're going to get from here on in. Then we get to the main event of the night, which was for the tag team titles, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn against the Usos. You had Little Uz come out to do a little bit of a mini concert, in support of the Usos, who came out afterwards. And then out came KO, out came Sami. And I pointed this out in a super chat to Alex, and he talked about it. And he said somebody tweeted him, or multiple people tweeted him, on the I guess you could say the knee parts here. If I can get into view here so you guys can see. Hold on for a second. Let me do something here. Hold on. But basically, like on this side, if you will, of their gear, on the Sammy's long tights and Kevin's shorts, on the side there, they had, believe it or not, and I'm surprised they didn't call this out. I guess if they did, it'd be like, well, we're giving credit to another company. They had PWG on there. That's right. They had the logo of Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, which I'm sure they haven't tweeted about it yet. I'm sure they loved. They loved seeing, because historically, that's how they began their careers, in PWG, Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, in Southern California. I'll tell you one person that noticed, Adam Cole, baby, he noticed on Twitter. He said PWG with a heart on it and everything, because he knows, hey, that, like them, that's how he got his start. And this match was good. The storytelling was excellent. Excellent. Through the roof, in my opinion. The storytelling was excellent. I mean, because, there were times that you honestly believed they were going to go with the Usos. That the Usos were going to win and retain. I mean, you had Sami taking so many super kicks. You had Kevin taking super kicks. You had Kevin going through a table. You just had moment after moment to where you thought they were going to go with the Usos and stuff. And it seemed like when you thought it would happen, Kevin would kick out of the finisher, like the double splash. Sami kicks out of the one and done, the 1D, which they put over as saying nobody's ever done that. And Sami's being the first one. It's kind of like with Hangman Page and Kenny Omega. A lot of people said that when we got to that match where Hangman beat Kenny for the AEW Championship, they were always building up, not just, the people on AEW like Excalibur and Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone and all them, but all the fans, like JD, like Alex, like myself, that people, they were always building up, Solomos, they were always building up that nobody would ever kicked out of the one winged angel. And when we got that rematch between Page and Omega, Omega hits the one winged angel, looks like he's going to win. Adam Page kicks out. And that's kind of the same feeling you got here with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn gets hit with the 1D, the one and done, kicks out. Nobody's ever done that. But in the end, they're able to isolate Jey Uso, who, again, was at first borderline, like, okay, which side is he on, until he chose. And Sami hit him with not one, not two, but 3 haluva kicks. And Kevin hit Jimmy with a stunner to keep him from interfering. And in the end, Sami pins Jay, and they become the new tag team champions, ending the 600 plus reign of the Usos. Now, what's interesting from a storyline perspective here is the fact that, basically Sami made sure it was Jay he pinned. And why? Because as everybody points out, Jay is probably going to play an integral part in tomorrow night's main event. Because one thing I could see, and I do agree, is that we might get Roman chewing them out. But then maybe in turn, if they do go that route where Jay cost, Roman the title to Cody, I've got a feeling either on Raw or SmackDown, on the Raw or SmackDown after Mania, you're going to have them confront him and say, hey, where were you when we needed you to help us retain our titles? We're always helping you retain yours. Where were you? Where were you? You don't care about anybody but yourself. You don't care about anybody but yourself, or those that those that are there to watch your back, because you don't have any confidence. And that's the one thing I think is going to play a role eventually, if this goes the direction people are believing they could go. And that's Roman being called out as someone that only has confidence when he has backup, like, historically the Shield and now with the Bloodline, and that without it, he doesn't have that confidence. He can't do things on his own because no one's there to say, hey, you're the best, you're the greatest, you're the future. No one's there to, give him that praise, to build up that self-confidence. And I think that's what's probably leading, maybe. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But in the end, yeah, Sami and Kevin win. They are the new tag team champs. And again, obviously, we'll get a follow-up to this with, Roman chewing them out, possibly on the pre-show or during the show. And again, the significance